The Carolina Panthers are in a very tricky situation, not only having an incompetent owner that does not know ball and thinks that he can run this organization like one of his hedge funds, but also the fact that they have the worst constructed rosters in the NFL. And what are they going to do about it? We shall see. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Soback Sports, and I'm so back with another video. And today I want to talk about the Carolina Panthers and what they've done so far in free agency. They have been really busy, to say the least, because they've franchise tagged, signed, released, you name it, they have done it. And I just want to go over that. But before we do, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot, and it really helps me create content like this for you guys. So please subscribe. So, going over the stuff that the Carolina Panthers did, they released Bradley Bozeman, their current center, and they franchise tagged Brian Burns, who was their edge rusher, and ended up trading him to the New York Giants. And Brian Burns got a significant contract, which I guess they weren't willing to pay in the Carolina. So overall, they released tight end Hayden Hurst, re-signed J.J. Jansen, and signed Robert Hunt for 100 million, excuse me, for 5 years, and Damian Lewis for 53 mil for 4 years. They've done a lot more, but I really want to just focus on what aspects they've done. They focused on offensive line by signing Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, and re-signing long snapper Jan Jansen. And in terms of releasing Von Bell, that was a huge loss in terms of the safety units. They addressed the defensive side, which is Ashawn Robinson for a 3-year, $22.5 million contract, a linebacker Josie Jewell, which is for a 3-year, $22.75 million contract. And via trade, they acquired Deontay Johnson from the Steelers. They also acquired wide receiver Emir Smith-Marset for 1 year. And I forgot to mention Deontay Johnson, for those who don't know, is a wide receiver. And they've addressed some edge rushers in Wonham and Chiasson, and cornerback for the secondary, Dane Jackson, all relatively cheap contracts. And finally, safety Jordan Fuller for a year. Some of these contracts are TBD, but for the most part, they're pretty like standard contracts, except for the two guards that they brought in, which is Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis. So they made a decent amount of moves. They were very active, and they were able to take in edge rusher DJ Wonham for a pretty solid deal for 2 years. And I just want to talk about the moves that they've made because, they addressed one situation, and that is Bryce Young needs weapons. And while they might not be the prettiest, most usable weapons, you're not going to take that next step with, Deontay Johnson, but it's a good direction, a good start. Because Deontay Johnson has shown flashes here and there on the Pittsburgh Steelers, but overall, it's nothing to really, say, oh my gosh, Bryce Young got a good one, Deontay Johnson's good. It's a good weapon for him, and given that they are still have Adam Thielen on contract, they have DJ Chark, Mingo, they have another year with, that core wide receiver group, and adding Deontay Johnson is going to probably help with that. So, for adding Bryce Young help for weapons, done, But now you have the offensive line issues, and you added some guards. If one of them, is $100 million, $53 million, investing in your offensive line is always a good thing. And I don't know if I'm fully sure about the contract. I think it's maybe worth it. I'm not fully sure about Hunt and Lewis because they're both guards, but I feel like that's an upgrade nonetheless because their current offensive line, while it's middle, like little bottom of the pack, but still relatively decent, and adding these two will definitely help. And adding edge rushers to bolster up that defense, given that Brian Burns has officially left the team, just trying to make up for it. That's really important for this team. And yeah, given that, now they have to realize, like, okay, now what? Center, focus on that offensive line, focus on that secondary, and I think they can do that in the draft. Obviously, they are limited in picks. They don't have a first round this year because obviously they gave it to Chicago. Thank you, David Tepper. And you have second round picks, 2 second rounds, by the way, and you have a third round. So you have a total of 3 picks in the top 3 rounds, which you could still do somewhat with it, right? You can add a wide receiver, you can add a secondary piece, you can maybe even add an edge rusher piece if those two edge rushers that you brought in, don't end up working out. And overall, in terms of their depth chart, you have Bryce Young, Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Johnson, Adam Thielen, Jonathan Mingo. All these players don't really sound that great. And the thing is, you have to address your center too, because you were very don't have a second string left tackle. You don't have a second string center. You are very thin on the offensive line. So maybe investing more in the offensive line is what they're probably going to go and do. So yeah, I mean, overall, they have a lot of things to do. And it's just a matter of, okay, will David Tepper let the people like the GM really take some initiative and do what he really wants for this team? They hired Canals from the Buccaneers to be their head coach, which is all well and good. But, at the end of the day, man, like, I really feel for Bryce Young because it's like you don't really have the greatest pieces to really take that next step. But I really do like the steps that they are taking at the same time. It's very like paradoxical the way I'm telling it right now, but overall, it's definitely an upgrade from what they had last year. Last year was awful. 2-15 with one of the worst offenses, one of the worst losing streaks. Like, you had almost wins here and there, but still couldn't get over the hump. And I really wish Bryce Young the best because, it's really hard for a situation like him, like being the first overall pick, going to that kind of scenario. Like, man, it really must suck. But I think he'll definitely take a slight step next year, given obviously they haven't finished everything yet. But with more free agency news, I'll probably cover and kind of go over what the Carolina Panthers have to outlook in terms of their following season in a few weeks or so after the draft. Maybe, they may make some moves. But what do you guys think down in the comments below? Do you think that the Carolina Panthers have a chance to improve the roster going forward? Let me know down in the comments below. I really would love to hear what you guys have to say. And yeah, screw you, David Tepper, for ruining such a good talent like Bryce Young. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.